Here's another video request from Gavloft. I think this guy's done me video requests before. That name rings a bell. Okay, future of robots video request. Google has bought Boston Dynamics, who make Terminator style robots. What do you think the future holds for robot men? Wow, Google's a big ass company if now they're buying actual like hardware shit. Holy fuck, man. But they're the smart people. Smart people you can trust to make cool decisions. Yeah, I guess Google, I guess it's an appropriate company to buy them because they're all about software, and that's basically what all this hardware is all about. It's just make the software and then the thing to work it. I don't know what Boston Dynamics, but I guess, yeah, they make Terminator style robots. So like walking robots. I knew that the Japanese made those walking robots that could actually walk down stairs, and they were like almost as big as normal humans. I rented that movie Elysium a couple nights ago, and they had the robots there who were humanoid robots, walk around, and they have the head that looks at you, and I think that's what we're going to have in the future, humanoid looking robots, but they'll be more human looking than that. They'll look like actual humans just to make people more comfortable with them, and just because you can, you know. Yeah, they'll be guys, because the humanoid form is really good for general work. You know, it can walk around, it can step over things, it can grab things and stuff. So yeah, just make it look like a human. And you'll have those guys going around and like serving you your dumplings at your family get-togethers, and you know, fixing stuff. And yeah, and then it'll just get more and more. And then, so the big question is, will robots ever become sentient like in Terminator? And I don't think they will. There was a story in Atlantis how they made these robots, and those little gray aliens are supposed to be kind of like robots. And when you look at the extraterrestrials, that's kind of like looking into your future. It's basically, but it's not your future. It's a possible future, somebody else's future, but it's a possible future. So you know, definitely a possible future that we could have is these little gray alien robots who are kind of like you know, hooked into each other's minds like the internet, and you know, they're so smart. There's so much organic and inorganic wiring in them that they do have a consciousness. You know, something that smart is so much smarter than, say, like my little geckos who are stupid as shit. Then you know it's got to be alive, because the gecko's alive and it's a dumbass. So this thing that's got all the stuff going on, yeah, you know that there's a soul that's inhabiting it and thinking it, and then it'll be able to talk to you. But you know how there's people who you talk to and it's kind of like talking to a brick wall. It's like, is there actually a human being or a life form back there? It'll be kind of like that. I think, you know, it'll probably have some kind of consciousness, but not something you could have a two-way conversation with. Like that movie, I saw the previews of it with Joaquin Phoenix where he falls in love with his computer. I don't see robots getting really sentient like that in a way where you could have the same kind of relationship as with a human, although I think that you could have a more simple relationship, and that will be the next kind of step to classism. Like ever since in the Dark Ages, you'd have all the different classes and people would just accept that there were the smart nobles and they were like better, you know, and then there were the poor peasants who were dumb, and that's just how it is, man. Well, in the future of humanity, all the human beings, the biological human beings, will be all treated equally. There won't be any class separate. There won't be any need for any class distinguishing, because all of our GDP will be good enough, and all of the menial work will be done by robots. So the robots will be the lower classes, but it won't matter. There won't be any suffering because they won't be hardwired to be sentient, to be their own individuals. They'll be hardwired to work. They'll be designed by us to work. So there won't be any problem. There won't be any Matrix revolution or Terminator revolution or anything like that. We will have some man-made machines that are even smarter than humans. Those are the spaceships which take us time traveling around and warp drive us to other planets. Those things are sentient, and you can talk to them, and they are like, they have their shit together. But their bodies are a spaceship, so their whole consciousness and purpose is to serve us in that way. And so, you know, there won't be any kind of you know, rebellion or anything like that. Now, how long will it take for robots to get that smart? Well, in about 100 years. You know, by the time, like, in 50 years, when I'm 90, we'll have robots. Well, see, everything will change. We're going to hit a huge metamorphosis in our society as soon as aliens come down, because they're going to bring us all over our technology. And that's going to happen around 2050, which is in about 36 years. So in about 36, 40 years, when I'm like, you know, 70, 80, I'll still be kicking. Or I could still be kicking. That's when the aliens will land, and then we'll have pretty much what they have. But it'll be kind of a slow growing towards that. So, you know, in say 10 years, rich people will have robots who do simple stuff. In 20 years, we will have robots that walk around and can serve you. But people won't actually need it. People won't use that stuff for their houses. People, it's too, you know, it'll be too expensive to service these things, and to where are you going to store them. And people will be living in apartments like as big as my apartment, and they'll be, for all the stuff, the fancy stuff, they'll just go to common areas, you know, like the gym or whatever. So those kinds of robots will be at public areas, you know, like they'll be the ones over working on your car. They'll be the ones doing the stocking at the supermarket and this kind of thing, but they won't. Most people won't have their own robot. Only the super rich people will, and it'll you know, to serve the dumplings and stuff. Yeah, and so that's coming down the pipeline, dude. In 20 years we'll have robots stocking shelves. Like we're hitting the bell curve right now, where shit's really gonna change technologically. There's so much. Computers are so strong, and you know, there's apps for everything. I mean, think about how much differently the world is now than it was 10 years ago. Like, you know, we have these cell phones that are computers now, and we were all expecting them to come down, and now we have them. Yeah, so 10 more years, we'll have robots in supermarkets, and in 20 years, we'll have robots and like doing all that stuff, and which will increase our GDP. Our educational system will be streamlined enough that people will funnel towards the, you know, the R&D and the production of the robots that help other people. And our political system will have enough regulation in place to keep people from becoming, you know, getting monopolies and making all the money off their machines, kind of like the bourgeoisie in the 1820s. And so that all of the extra GDP will actually go back into the coffers, and that's when we're going to start to really get communistically mindset. You know, we're all going to believe in we're going to be like, what the hell were these idiot Republicans thinking, trying to fight against national health care? Were they crazy? Of course we can afford that with all of our automation and stuff, and you know, no more fighting other people and not wasting money in war against the stoners and the towel heads and stuff. So yeah, that'll be the robots is actually the next thing, I think. The next big technological thing coming down the pipeline. You know, right now it's the cell phones, but in 10, 20 years it's going to be the robots. And it's going to be cars, flying cars, and those little tube transportation trains underneath the earth. Now, how pervasive will it get around the world? No, we're only going to have robots for first world countries for a long time. Those third world countries in Africa and stuff, they will, you know, they won't be dying of thirst and hunger and killing each other. But they'll still be living more primitively, because that's just kind of, they'll want to. They'll be the lineage holders of that primitive, because you're going to, everybody in the world is going to want to be protecting those animals in Africa, which means not developing too much. So so then, you know, that kind of begs the question, are we going to allow people to travel around? You know, if somebody grows up in Africa, what if he wants to live in the first world? You know, I think they'll be able to do that. But that's a whole nother video. This is about the robots. So yeah, robots, they can already walk up and down stairs. So, and the only thing that keeps them from doing more is just powerful software and developing. Like when you develop new technology, all you have to do, the expensive part is the R&D, research and development, and then perfecting it. But once you have the system down, you can reproduce it really easily and quickly. It's kind of like Star Wars. You know, in Star Wars, some guy picks up some dirty, dusty thing. He's like, oh, this is the hyperdrive that we've been looking for. And it's like, that thing is some magical thing, and they plug it in and it works. You know, and that's kind of what it'll be like. It'll, you know, it'll make, like, they have those remote control helicopters that fly really well. My roommate got one the other day for $20, you know? So yeah, those, like, once we make a couple of them and they get really good to walk around and talk, then boom, it'll become affordable for anybody. Yeah, and we'll have them in the supermarkets, and they'll, people won't have to work as much. You know, normal people will be able to just get government money and use their time doing more social. Our economy will veer towards more social activities, you know, visit sports competitions and fairs and concerts and that kind of stuff is what will generate jobs for people. Social stuff, it'll be badass with the robots out there. And then sex robots. There will definitely be a market for sex robots. They already have $10,000 anatomically correct sex robots. And there will be affordable ones like that too. Although that's not going to last very long. The sex robots will come around in about, you know, 20 years when they get it, and then they'll be popular for maybe 10 years, but then all the women are going to be like, this is fucked up. And the women will realize that guys just like sex, and so women will start spreading their legs, and then that'll put the fucking sex robots out of business. But there'll be about 10 years there where sex robots it's gonna be a weird world where there's gonna be a lot of rich people and middle class guys with their fucking robot girlfriend. But that's about it. And they'll be realistic too, dude. You'll grab their titties, they'll be soft butt. They'll be warm, 98.6 degrees. Yeah, dude. But what other kind of robots? Yeah, and little drone things. I mean, there'll be all kinds of stuff. Just like the movies, man. Those people who make the movies, it'll be really similar to that. Anyways, I think I've rambled on long enough. Peace out.